Hello everyone! In this video, we'll go over the Vocabulary Workshop Level Orange Unit 12 words. You can follow along at home using your book. Let's get started! Our first word is bristle. Bristle is a noun, and a bristle is a stiff, short hair or fiber. Stiff means something that is a little bit hard. So a bristle is kind of just like a hard hair, like the ones you might find on a toothbrush. The example sentence says, use a toothbrush with soft, gentle bristles. Usually for toothbrushes, you can have different kinds. There are ones with soft bristles or hard bristles, and you can choose whichever kind you like when brushing your teeth. And another thing that has bristles are paintbrushes. I could say the paintbrush's bristles were hard. Or we could talk about the bristles of a broom. We can say the broom bristles sweep the floor. And one more thing that's a little bit different that maybe most people don't think about is pig's hair. The hair on the back of a pig is often described as being like a bristle because it is a little bit hard or stiff. So I could say a pig's back has stiff bristles. Some synonyms for bristles are whisker, spine, and quill, and there are no antonyms for this word. We can also use bristle as a verb, and it means to have hair standing on end, to show anger. For example, an insulting remark may make a person bristle with anger. So part of the definition of bristle says to show anger. If you make an insulting remark, which is just something mean, saying something mean. If you say something mean to someone, then they might bristle with anger. They might show their anger to you. So when people are angry or scared, their hair might bristle like this on their body. Has this ever happened to you? Or a good example of hair bristling would be on a cat. Often when cats are afraid, their hair will stand up like this. So we can describe this action of the hair standing up as bristle, to bristle or bristling. Some synonyms are stiffen, rise, and seethe. And there are no antonyms for this word. Our next word is circular. Circular is an adjective, and circular means in some way like a circle, round, and indirect. For example, a circular path borders the pond. So we can have something like this. There is a pond here, and you can see this path around the pond is in a circular shape. So anything that looks like a circle or is like a circle in some way, we can describe it with the adjective circular. I could say the children sat in a circular shape for the game. Or I can say coins are circular. And in this picture, you can see there is a rug on the ground, and I could say the circular rug was on the floor, because the shape of this rug is like a circle. Some synonyms for circular are ring-shaped and roundabout. Antonyms are linear, straight, and direct. Circular can also be used as a noun, and as a noun, it is a leaflet or printed advertisement meant to be given to many people. For example, the circular describes the shop's sales. So at this time, we're talking about a paper like this that has information about what a store might be selling or what kind of special deals or discounts are in that store. It's an advertisement. That way people want to buy more things from that store. This definition of the word circular is not very common, however. It's more common to just call this kind of paper a flyer or a brochure. And there are no antonyms for this word. Our next word is coarse. Coarse is an adjective, and coarse means low, common or of poor quality, made of comparatively large parts, rough to the touch, or using bad manners or rude language. Let's look at the example sentence first. Most people are offended by coarse behavior. So this definition here of coarse says using bad manners. In this sentence, we're using it to talk about someone who has bad manners. So when we say coarse behavior, it's talking about doing things that are rude, like yelling or screaming or using bad language. So just like in this picture, I could say, the students did not like the teacher because of his coarse behavior. So coarse can be used to describe a person like this who might be very rude. And coarse can also mean something that has large parts or larger than you would expect. For example, here there is a picture of some coarse coffee. Coffee is usually ground so that it's very thin and fine, kind of like sugar, but in this picture it's still coarse. It's coarse coffee. Or I could also use it to talk about something that is rough to the touch, so it feels very rough. Just like this scrubber for when you take a shower. I could say, the coarse cloth scratched my skin. Have you ever used this kind of cloth when you're taking a shower to scrub your skin? Another thing that is often described as coarse is sandpaper. This is sandpaper and it's a very rough paper that is often used to scratch things like wood, so that the first layer of it can be removed and then it's more smooth afterwards. So we use coarse sandpaper to make the surface of wood smooth. Some synonyms for coarse are rugged, crude, harsh, grainy, scratchy, vulgar, foul, and gross. Antonyms are smooth, silky, delicate, gentle, refined, and polite. Our next word is discard. Discard can be used as a verb or as a noun, and as a verb it means to get rid of or throw away. As a noun, it's something cast off or thrown away. So as a verb, it's just the action of throwing something away, just like this picture here. The boy is throwing the trash away, so I can say he is discarding the trash. And as a noun, discards are the things that have already been thrown away. So all of this trash here in the trash can be called the discards. Let's look at the example sentences. Please discard your newspaper in recycling bins. And donate your clothing discards to a charity. In our first sentence, we're talking about the action of throwing away or discarding the newspaper in the recycling bin. While in the second sentence, we are using discard as a noun. Now it's a thing. So here it's our clothing discards or the old clothing that we don't use. And it's good if you donate it to charity instead of just throwing it in the trash. And another common way that we use this word discard might be when you're playing a game and there's a pile of cards that you are no longer using. So this pile would be called the discard pile. Some synonyms for discard are dump, dispose of, or eliminate. And antonyms are save, keep, and retain. Our next word is extreme. Extreme can be used as an adjective and as a noun, and it means to the highest or greatest degree, exaggerated, or farthest possible. And as a noun, it means the highest, farthest, or greatest, one end of a range. So in both of these ways, we are using extreme to mean something that is the most of something, the highest of something, or the greatest of something. For example, most people avoid extreme heat and cold. So for example, a desert would have extreme heat and the top of a mountain might have extreme cold. So most people want to avoid, they don't want to go to those places because of the very high heat or because of the very high cold. In this picture here, I could say the roller coaster gave the boy extreme fear. So he was very scared. He was the most or the greatest scared that he could be. So we can describe that feeling as being extreme since we're using it as an adjective. And as a noun, I could say songs often describe extremes of emotion. So now as a noun, extremes is being used as a feeling, like the highest or the greatest of something, and in this sentence it's of emotion. So a lot of songs are very emotional songs that might make people feel sad, or it might make them extremely happy as well. It's the highest or the most of emotion that people can feel. Another example would be, the weather reached an extreme yesterday. So if there's a big storm that's been happening for a few days, and then yesterday was the worst day. It was the highest or the greatest that the storm was. So it was the worst day. I can describe it as being an extreme. So anytime that you feel something is the most or the greatest or really more than anything else, you can describe it as being extreme. Some synonyms are ultimate, excessive, and outermost. And antonyms are mild and ordinary. Our next word is focus. Focus is a noun and it means sharpness or clarity, the center of activity or interest. For example, it's easy to adjust the focus of binoculars. So this picture right here shows some binoculars, and you can use them to see things that are farther away. And with binoculars, usually at the end you can rotate it in both directions, and when you rotate it, it will adjust or it will fix the focus. Adjust just means fixing something. It will fix the focus so that the thing that you are looking at looks more blurry or it looks more clear. So when we use this word focus, we're talking about making something look clear. Here in this picture, you can see the eye here is out of focus, and here the eye is in focus. And the second meaning of focus, the center of activity or interest, just means the thing that, for example, you are trying to learn. I could say the teacher's main focus is helping students learn. So that's the main interest or the main thing that she wants to do. That's her focus. Or I could say reading is the focus of our class today. It's the activity that we're doing. It's the thing that is being done or has interest at the moment. That can be called the focus. Some synonyms are heart and emphasis. And there are no antonyms for this word. And this synonym heart is not talking about like the heart inside your body. Instead, it's just referring back to this meaning where it's the center of something or the thing in the middle, the thing that is important. That is the focus. So it's a synonym for focus. And we can also use focus as a verb. So now it's the action, and it is to correct for sharpness and clarity, to concentrate. For example, always take the time to focus your camera. So now for focus, we are doing this action of making the camera look more clear. So that is the verb focus. I can say she focused the camera on the bird. Or we can also use it to mean that someone is concentrating or paying attention. For example, he focused hard during the test. Please focus on the movie, not your phone. Some synonyms for focus are direct and adjust, and antonym is blur. Our next word is grasp. Grasp is a verb and it means to take hold with the arms or hands, to take eagerly, to understand. For example, grasp the handrail so you don't trip. In this sentence, we're talking about something like this. This is called a handrail, and usually you will find one next to stairs, and you should grasp it so that way when you're going down the stairs or you're going up, if you trip, then you won't fall down and get hurt. And as you can see in the picture, all of the children are holding on to it with their hands because the word grasp just means you are taking hold of something. You are holding on to something with your hands or with your arms. And here in this picture, you can see the little baby is grasping his father's hand. It's holding on tightly to something. That is grasp. The other definition of grasp means to understand. So I could say something like, she grasped the meaning of the story. So maybe she was reading a story in class and she finally understands the meaning of the story. So we can say she grasped the meaning. Some synonyms are clutch and perceive. Antonyms are drop, release, and loosen. And grasp can also be used as a noun. It means the ability to achieve or understanding. For example, a grasp of math's many rules is vital. In this sentence, we're talking about understanding all of the rules of math. Because if you don't understand these rules, then math can become very difficult for you. So grasping these rules is very vital or important. I could also say, the idea is beyond my grasp. It means that I cannot understand or I cannot get to the answer. So I do not grasp something. Or I could say, he has a good grasp of English. Maybe he speaks really well, so we can say that his understanding is very good. So whenever someone understands something well or can do something well, you can say they have a good grasp of something. Synonyms are comprehension and an antonym is misunderstand. Our next word is inspire. Inspire is a verb and inspire means to guide, excite, uplift, or encourage, to bring about or cause. So when you are inspiring someone, you are making someone feel excited or happy, or you make them want to do something, even if maybe they didn't want to do it before. For example, the Olympic Games inspire athletes to do their best. Especially in the Olympic Games, when athletes have a chance to win a gold medal for their country, they might feel very inspired to try as hard as they can to win the game. Another example would be, the teacher inspired her students to read more books. Maybe her style of reading was very energetic and interesting, and because she was excited about it, now the students also became excited. So we can say she inspired the students or she made them want to do something. Likewise, I could say the coach inspired the team to try harder. Or another way you could use this word is by saying the song inspired me to dance. So it made me want to do something. That is inspire. Synonyms are influence, motivate, move, and affect. Antonyms are deter and discourage. Our next word is magnify. Magnify is a verb and it means to increase in importance, exaggerate, or to make bigger. For example, a microscope can magnify tiny objects. This is a microscope here in this picture, and here there is something that is very tiny. So the scientist uses this microscope to help her see the things that are very tiny through this machine. So we can say the microscope magnifies or it makes it bigger. And another example would be here. there is a magnifying glass that someone is holding above the dictionary. So I can say, this lens magnifies the words on the page. We can use this word magnify anytime that something is making something else look bigger. And it can also be used when we're talking about exaggerating, like making something sound more amazing than it really is, making it bigger than it really is. For example, I could say, he magnified the story to make it sound more exciting. So maybe the story was just a regular story, but the way that he told it, he made it bigger and more amazing, more important. So we can use magnify as the verb in that sentence to say that he's making it sound bigger or more amazing. Some synonyms of magnify are intensify and enlarge, and antonyms are diminish and reduce. One way I really like to use this word is when I'm hungry. Let's say that I'm hungry, but it's not time to eat yet. And then suddenly I smell some delicious food coming from somewhere nearby. Well, the smell of that food just magnifies my hunger. It makes me more hungry. It makes my hunger bigger and greater than it was before, so I can say my hunger was magnified. Have you ever felt this way just before lunchtime? Our next word is marine. Marine is an adjective and it is related to the sea or the seagoing branches of the armed forces. Let's focus on this first part of the definition here. We can use marine to describe anything that is related to the sea. So it comes from the sea or by the sea. The example says, whales are marine mammals, not fish. So here in this sentence, marine is describing the word mammals. We're letting people know that whales are not mammals that come from the land. Instead, they are from the sea. That's why we use the word marine. We can use this word marine to describe any animal that comes from the sea. We can call it a marine animal. Another way I could use this word is by talking about plants that I might find in the sea. For example, seaweed is a marine plant. It's a plant that grows in the water. Or I could say, coral reefs are full of marine life. All of the life here in these coral reefs is from the sea. And I could also say, she studies marine plants in the ocean. So I'm describing these plants as being marine or being from the sea. Synonyms for marine are nautical, maritime, oceanic, aquatic, coastal, and naval. And there are no antonyms for this word. Marine can also be used as a noun, and now this is where we'll talk about this second part of the definition here, where it's the seagoing branches of the armed forces. So a marine is talking about a soldier who serves on a ship, a member of the U.S. Marine Corps. So a marine is just a kind of soldier from the U.S. military. The simple sentence says, the U.S. Marines fought pirates in the early 1800s. So this word is just being used to describe this kind of soldier. There are many different kinds of soldiers in the military. For example, there are the Navy that are on giant ships in the ocean, or there are the soldiers in the Air Force that fly airplanes. So Marines are just a kind of soldier, and they are usually trained to fight both on the land and on the sea. They're usually famous for having really difficult training and being very strong. Our next word is quake. Quake is a verb and it can also be used as a noun, and it means to shake or move back and forth, to tremble. As a noun, it is a shaking back and forth or trembling, an earthquake. So both of the definitions are the same, we're just using them in different ways. This one as an action and this one as a noun, as a thing that's happening. Let's look at the examples. People who live in California often feel the ground quake. So remember, quake means it's shaking. So people who are living in places like California or Japan often has earthquakes. They might feel the ground quake like this, or shake, because quake just means something is shaking or moving back and forth. And we can also describe our hands as quaking sometimes. Maybe we could say his hands quaked when he was scared. As a noun, the sample says, a minor quake does little damage. So now we're not talking about the action of shaking, we're talking about the actual thing, the earthquake. It's often called just a quake. So for example, I could say, the quake knocked over all of the bottles in the store. Or I could say, a big quake can break buildings or knock them over. So like this, we can use quake to talk about both the shaking action, the moving back and forth, or the actual earthquake, the thing that happened. Synonyms are shudder, shiver, vibrate, quaver, tremor, and shock. And there are no antonyms for this word. Our final word is troublesome. Troublesome is an adjective and it means difficult, causing annoyance, bother, or worry. For example, it is troublesome to run out of gas on the highway. As you can imagine, if you are in a car on a highway, a very big road, and suddenly your car runs out of gas, so there's no more gas in the car will not go anymore, that can be very troublesome. Because now you have to call someone to come and help you or someone to bring you gas, and you might have to wait a long time. So that situation might be difficult or even annoying. So we can describe it as being troublesome. Another example here, I could say, the troublesome dog destroyed the sofa cushion. So this would be very annoying if you are the owner of the dog. People love dogs, but of course we have to be careful because sometimes they destroy our things and that can be troublesome. Another example would be, flies in the kitchen are troublesome. Have you ever seen these tiny flies in your house or in your kitchen? It can be very difficult to get rid of them, so we can describe them as being troublesome. And finally, I could say, the homework was troublesome for many students. Since troublesome can also mean something that is difficult, we can describe difficult homework or difficult assignment as being troublesome. Synonyms are hard, annoying, and upsetting. Antonyms are easy and untroubling. And that's all for this video. We went over the Vocabulary Workshop Level Orange Unit 12 words. Thank you so much for listening and see you next time. Bye!